All right. You are listening to YouTube.com, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to come up with a better intro. But anyway,
Post-tube content.
what?
Post-tube content.
Post-tube content. Yeah, anyway. This is post-game content. I'm Thomas.
I'm Kevin.
And today, there's not really much news because we're still dealing with the coronavirus.
Yeah. Rick May died, the voice actor for the soldier in TF2.
Yeah, that was pretty disappointing. And
that was really sad. But on a bit of a light note, there's like a ton of tribute things going around YouTube and like even in game, like a lot of people are sporting Rick May profile pictures, Rick May themed Steam usernames, and playing Soldier in his honor.
nice.
Yeah, it's actually pretty wholesome. I was playing Team Fortress 2 earlier today and yesterday. Just so happened and like saw a bunch of people honoring Rick May. Thought it was pretty cool. Like for a community that's mostly dead and what isn't dead is kind of like undesirable. You know,
Yeah.
it was nice to see that there is some community like still there. Especially on YouTube, like seeing SFMs being made again, like that was nice. Definitely worth looking into. The guy, he was pretty interesting. But
Do you know if he did anything else besides Soldier?
he did. I'm trying to remember, but he was most known for the soldier role. But he did a lot of other like he was on a couple of shows actually. But I can't think of any other roles that he played. Oh, actually,
Gotcha.
he was in Star Fox 64. He was Peppy in that game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did see that going around.
Yeah, he was Peppy. I don't remember what else he did. In terms of video games, anyway.
Yeah.
I think
mean,
he was in. I think he was in Sly 3. Not sure, but
maybe
yeah, I'd
as
have to look that up.
I'm trying to think who he would be in Sly 3.
Hey, I just pulled it up. All right, let's see.
The Red Baron, maybe?
He's Dr. M in Sly 3.
Oh, okay.
And then he's apparently in American Graffiti, and he's uncredited, like the movie American Graffiti, and he's listed on IMDb as Boy in Car, uncredited.
Nice.
Yeah, so if you like American Graffiti, there's one more reason to like American Graffiti.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
The only thing I have, which I think it's just kind of funny, is so you know the former Disney Channel actress Selena Gomez, Kev?
Yeah.
Well, she's suing. I'm literally gonna read this from the Forbes headline.
Okay.
Selena Gomez is suing some mobile game you've never heard of for $10 million.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I saw this on like Twitter or something. Did you post something about that or like a tweet or something? I don't know.
Maybe. I follow Jim Sterling and he posted something about it, but
that's really funny.
And then the best part is M dash. Good for her.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like honestly, I would stand by like a lot of celebrities who like wanted to take down these like shovelware like app store things. I don't know. I feel like there needs to be some sort of quality control. Like if Apple's not going to do it, I don't want to play Elsa Dentist anymore. Okay,
I've played Elsa Dentist too many times.
I don't want to play Elsa Dentist. Don't make me.
When I close my eyes, that's all I see.
All I see are minion faces with missing teeth. Horrifying, grotesque, missing teeth.
It's so. Oh my god.
Anyway,
I just want to say, like on the other podcast I do, we ended up like talking about like Homestuck for 2 seconds, and like that combined with the Elsa thing has just like that just ruined my weekend.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, she's suing Chinese publisher Guangzhou, Fidong, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, software technology, and UK.
Wait, no, those are my favorite developers.
No, up there with Nintendo and Square Enix.
Yeah, yeah.
And UK-based developer Mutant Box Interactive Limited to the tune of 10 million US dollars. As far as
But
I can tell, she's 100% right to do so, says this article. Um, if you look at the picture,
it's
Variety
her.
posted a
I know the
comparison.
picture you're talking about. It's her. Like,
It's literally just her mirrored.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's really funny. I remember seeing the tweet now. I don't know if it was from you or something, but it popped up on my timeline. I think it might have been I think I actually might have seen a Kotaku article
mm-hmm.
regarding it. But anyway.
um, Speaking of Kotaku as well, I guess this isn't like a super big news story, but uh, one writer who I feel like one game journalist rather who I feel like is super just good at his job. I mean, he's just a great journalist in general. Is Jason Schreyer, and
Yeah.
it was his last day at Kotaku Friday,
Yeah. I remember
which
seeing that.
I mean, hopefully he continues to do what he does. I got to read his first book which I think is called Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, because I think he's just about to wrap up his second book.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Because like I video game journalism is this weird field. It's
Yeah.
just such a weird field. Like I it's not really covered. It doesn't fall into like the realm of like magazine material. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not like general entertainment. It's not like beauty, it's not anything
Right.
like that or like lifestyle kind of things. But it's also not like broad enough for to be covered by like mainstream journalists working a beat or something. Like it's not
Right.
like there's no video game section in the paper, but there are video game papers for some reason. I don't know. It's so strange. But like I guess what I wanted to say was that like a lot of journalists when they leave the field, they don't really leave the field. They continue like being really active, but
Mm-hmm.
they just I don't know get paid to do other things. But so I think we can assume safely that he would he would still at least be an active like social media presence or
Yeah, absolutely.
author or something. But
And I do think like he also has like a young child, so he wants to spend some time with his kid as you would.
why?
Why? We just want to play video games.
Yeah, play video games.
um. All right. So should we get into a somewhat recurring segment? I think even though we've only done it once, but we want to make it a
No,
recurring
we've
segment.
we've done it multiple times. Maybe not on this in this format for sure, but like
Maybe not when we were recording each other, but
yeah.
yeah. So this is sell me a game where basically we um, sell each other on games that we've never played that fall into a specific genre. So before we recorded at the start of this week, we sort of decided on first person shooters would be the genre we would tackle today. So why don't you go first, Kev? Sell me your first person shooter of choice.
Okay, well let me ask, let me just make sure you haven't played this one. But this one's fresh in my mind because it sort of eluded me for a while and I just got around to playing it. Have you played any of the Deus Ex games?
I haven't. Well,
Okay, okay, so
that's
perfect.
that's not true. I have played like 5 seconds of Deus Ex One, and then my computer crashed.
Okay,
So
okay, perfect. I just got around to playing the third game, which is actually the second game chronologically. Um,
right.
so I played Mankind Divided, and it's really good. And let me tell you why you should give this give this a shot. Um, so you said you tried to play Deus Ex, the first one anyway.
Yes.
Uh, did you like the 5 minutes that you played?
Um, I'm. It was. I mean, from the 5 minutes I played, it seemed like it was going to be a little bit overcomplicated. I've said a couple
Right.
times on this podcast that Western RPGs that aren't named KOTOR aren't I have a hard time getting into.
Right.
And it kind of seemed like that
Yeah.
for the first one.
Yeah. Okay. So the Deus Ex games are kind of like that, but Mankind Divided is. I was worried when I got into it that it would be like a kind of like a classic case of like an old series revived and completely changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like that they wouldn't follow like the same gameplay mechanics or whatever. Especially because I feel like a lot of modern stealth games sort of lack this like stealth. Like I feel like a lot of modern stealth games kind of give you the tools to be a god if you want. I'm
Yeah.
looking at Dishonored 2. I'm looking at Dishonored 1 also, but Dishonored 1 is just good. So like
Giving a
anyway.
slight glance at Dishonored 1, but full on Dishonored 2.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Deus Ex does that too. You definitely do get to go like choose between like psychopath, murder, robot, machine,
Mm-hmm.
or like stealth, ninja, robot man. Basically, you get to play two versions of Genji. And
Who
it's
never
actually really
asked for this?
yeah, it's really faithful to the first one, but adds like so many like just small quality of life changes that I would expect from a modern Deus Ex game. Um, so if you do like games like Dishonored or trying to think of another good example, like if you ever played any of the Thief games, even the new one, which like the 2014 one,
Right.
any of those like sort of modern stealth games, if you like stealth, then I think you would really like Deus Ex. It's got a complicated plot, because okay, so I played a little bit of the first Deus Ex game, none of the second one, jumped right to the third one because it was on sale for like $5. Um,
And from what I hear, you made the right decision. I know a lot of people don't really like. I think it's Invisible War is the second one.
I don't remember, but that's what I hear too. I hear that like the second one is kind of like iffy or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you the game right out of the gates tries to sell you on itself by saying, listen, you don't really have to play the second one. And I think that might be because the game knows that the second one wasn't that good. But an immediate pitfall of that, and I'm going to confess this because I wouldn't try and convince you that this game is perfect, just that you should give it a shot. Um, the game offers a recap video, like a cutscene, to tell you what happened in the second one. It's 12 minutes long. so, so, so me clicking through all the menus, trying to start the game, saw it, read it really fast, thought it said a 2-minute recap video, clicked it, sat for 12 minutes before I actually played the game, had no idea what was going on anyway. I think I would have been less confused if I had just started the game. But that being said, it's the gameplay is really like where it shines. Like uh I I'm not gonna lie to you, like in any given moment I can tell you what I'm doing and I can justify it. I can tell you like why I'm going these different places, where like what my current objective is and why I have to do it. But I cannot for the life of me explain the overarching plot. So so in a way, like it's really fun because you're always kind of distracted with like the carrot in front of you, and like
Hmm.
the gameplay is just fun, like the stealth, like this so the idea is that you're an augmented human. You have all these different like enhancements to your mind and body. Um, Basically, it's sort of action RPG in the sense that like everything like is taking place first person, like Skyrim, but you have like different things you can spec into. Um, so you can like become invisible, or alternatively, you can sacrifice your ability to become invisible to become invincible.
Oh,
And
nice.
like there are sort of branching paths with the augment feature. There's like a mechanic called where there's like a mechanic where you have to monitor how stable your augments are. Like if you get like what is considered an experimental augment, which basically are just augments that weren't in the first game, um, you have to sacrifice one that you already have, or you basically have to cancel out another entire tree.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
there's a way around that. There's a side quest to get around that, but that doesn't come back to like reward you until later in the game. So you can think of it as temporary. Like, what do you want to play most of the game as, basically?
But it's still like a pivotal choice.
Right. And speaking of pivotal choices, Deus Ex has a lot of decision making in it, and while some of them are genuinely like thought provoking and interesting little like thought experiments, not many of them end up mattering. Uh, that's kind of like another pitfall with the game. It almost kind of sounds like I'm trying to get rid of the game myself, but uh, I'm just trying to get you to see
You're
both
trying
sides
to
here.
sell it to me so that you don't have to play it anymore.
Yes, please take this off my hands. No, I actually really like the game. I'm almost done with it. I'm like right at the final uh, mission. Um, but but yeah, no, just sometimes like I'm posed with like this really interesting like wow, like this really is making me question like humanity, what it means to be
Mm-hmm.
human. Like this is very deep, interesting idea. I have 3 seconds to choose. I'm gonna pick this one, and like it never, and then it never comes back, and it just, I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Like it does, as in like you save a character early in the game, they come back at the very end of the game, they say thank you, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Like I don't know. Some choices do like have a lasting impact, but just most of them, most of them don't. But I give them a pass because they still make you think. Like it's not necessarily about like how you're impacting the outcome of the game. It's more of like what did the game make you think about yourself and how you'd handle this situation. Um, so I don't know. Give it kind of a pass. In summation, um, it's a fun, it has the capacity to be a really fun stealth game, really fun like just like Doom style shoot everything in sight because you can get upgrades that make your hands shoot razor blades and
Oh fuck
like
yeah!
make your back fire missiles, kind of like that one scene in The Mandalorian where he like shoots all the
He's got
people
like
with
the
his,
missile gauntlet.
yeah. um but also like the upgrades make stealth fun too because I feel like that's a problem with like Dishonored, namely 2. Anyway, is that like stealth doesn't feel as fun as just becoming like a monster, you know?
Right.
Like when games give you that choice, I feel like it's really easy to just go one route and like not look back. But I feel like Deus Ex actually like as soon as I get done with this like mercy playthrough that I'm doing, I really do think I'm gonna go back and play through again and just be
Murder
like death
everyone.
incarnate. Yeah.
Uh, I mean, that's really good to hear because, like, I've always kind of felt like games with stealth focus, like I think about like Wolfenstein, the machine games, modern Wolfenstein games, where you get so many upgrades for like direct combat, like improving your dual wielding, and
Yeah.
a whole bunch of stuff. But like, there's not really that many upgrades for the stealth. Like, literally, the best upgrade for the stealth is being able to carry more throwing knives.
Mhm.
So it's really encouraging, I guess, to see that like you have a first person game that is like with a stealth system that constantly
Yeah.
rewards its players as much as like direct combat upgrades.
Right. I mean, it feels good because as I sort of like alluded to, I'm doing my first playthrough, I'm doing like a pacifist run, like I haven't killed anybody. So it's mostly stealth, like non-lethal takedowns, all that. Um, and like not only does the stealth gameplay feel satisfying because I feel cool like hacking into stuff, like knocking a guard out, searching his pockets for a password, opening a door that I otherwise wouldn't be able to access because my hack skill's too low or something. I Not only does that feel cool in itself, but like the moral like sort of layer to it that comes with like the story of like everyone thinks that augmented humans are monsters and like there's like this whole like political campaign to make them illegal and people believe that they're subhuman because they're actually like mechanically augmented, they have like less human parts. So it feels cool that like in the midst of all this like fear of the augmented people rising up and responding with like acts of terrorism, you're just like being a chill dude and like not killing anyone. Like there's I don't know the levels of reward go beyond just like it works into the story and not just the gameplay, I guess, is
Nice.
how I'd want to word it. Um, but yeah, no, definitely a lot of fun as a stealth game. Seems like it would be a lot of fun as a, you know, rip and tear Doom style game if I ever get around to it. But
Nice.
yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I would say I'm sold on that.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
and even though some of the choices don't necessarily matter, there is still a lot of attention to detail because there's like this sort of uh, basically the whole game, most of the game anyway, takes place in Prague, and you can
mhm.
get around to different parts of the city by taking the train. And like there's actually like a separate line for augmented humans, and if you follow the objective marker for quests that take you into the subway, it'll always point you in the line for augmented people. But you can go through the human only line, but you will actually get scolded by everyone around you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and if you activate the terminal to go to the next area, the little loading cutscene that plays, instead of having like the main character Agent Jensen like sitting up with a bunch of fellow augmented people, he's like standing awkwardly in the middle of a bunch of like natural people, and and they're all just like looking at him like shifty eyed, and they're like, oh god, what's he
Bro.
doing? What's he doing? And then once you get off the train, like a cop will yell at you and like check your papers. I don't know. It's nice little attention to detail. But
Nice. So Deus Ex, really thought provoking, really, choice based game, serious theme, stuff like that. I'm gonna sell you on a game that is on the completely opposite side of the spectrum.
lay it on me.
Have you ever heard of a game called Painkiller?
No.
Okay, so Painkiller is it's by the studio called People Can Fly, who I think it was their
Can.
first game, and like a couple of them worked on a few other things like Bulletstorm and things like that. But Painkiller is it's freaking awesome. It's basically like the thesis of this whole pitch, I guess I'm going to take you down, is that this game has a gun that shoots shurikens and lightning. Um,
That's awesome.
and it's freaking sweet. So, Painkiller is, I mean, I think the reason like Painkiller would maybe appeal to you, Kev, is I feel like it's definitely forged in like the Dreamcast style of game development, where it's just like we're gonna just try a bunch of stuff, and like sometimes it'll like work together really well, and sometimes it might not, but it's still creative. Um, so Painkiller is you're this you're it's like right out of like a 90s movie. It's like you're this I believe he's like a former cop or something like
Is
that.
it
And
is it like the Blood Dragon, like the Far Cry Blood Dragon plot where it's just like a bunch of like 80s 90s juice like
um I would say it's definitely more like 90s in terms of like being gritty and overly
right,
serious.
okay.
But
Okay.
like
Yeah, because Blood
um
Dragon's like, oh, look at all these lizards that shoot lasers, and it's like
yeah,
funny and enjoyable, but it's still like,
dinosaurs
yeah,
that shoot lasers.
yeah, yeah,
um yeah, Painkiller, but it's like a fun kind of like over serious, like
right,
it's
right.
this guy and his wife and him die in a car accident, and his wife goes to heaven, but he ends up in purgatory. And God's
Okay,
like, all right, Mr. Police Gunman person,
that's his name.
um, that's his name. It may as well be his name, honestly. um, I'm gonna
Slaterson.
I'm gonna send you to heaven with your wife. Before I do that, you gotta be my hitman and kill all the generals of Hell's army,
Oh,
um,
okay.
with a gun that shoots shurikens and lightning.
And like, why is God well versed in like ninja like martial arts?
Ninja
Like
slash weather control.
Yeah. Well, the weather
um,
control I can understand.
yeah. I mean, this game is very dark, maybe like in terms of like lighting and stuff. Like maybe
Mhm.
God is just like in a black robe and he thinks he's a ninja. But anyway, so it's like Doom where you move really fast. There's an emphasis on shooting, slight emphasis on exploration. You get these magical powers called runes. You can collect souls from defeated enemies, and that sends you into like a berserker mode. Um, and but like I think what's the most fun, well, some of the most fun things about Painkiller are the weapons. It's very unique and they're all just very fun. Like I keep bringing up the shuriken and lightning gun, but there's also a gun that shoots like giant wooden stakes,
Oh,
and they like
nice.
pin enemies to walls, and they like ragdoll eyes, and you can get some pretty funny results with that. Um,
I always love I always love games that like have like those like pinning projectiles
Definitely.
like the TF2 bow that you can get as sniper. I think the crossbow for medic does it too. And then or even like the Half-Life 2 crossbow that like just just can like snipe people with like the flaming bolt of like metal.
Yeah.
Just always fun.
The crossbow in Bioshock also has that kind of effect
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Um, but there's that gun, the gun that the game is named after, the Painkiller, is a um, it's basically like I'm trying to think how to describe it. It's essentially like a boomerang gun where it shoots a projectile and then you can like bring it back gravity gun style. And then its other
Okay.
mode is
I'm
that it
thinking
turns into
like
a buzzsaw and you can just like run into enemies with your buzzsaw.
that's awesome. I'm thinking there's a couple of games in like the Ratchet and Clank series that do that where like you shoot them out and then they like spiral back in or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
Trying to think of some, but I don't remember any of the names off the top of my head. I call myself a fan.
I'm I don't know. I can't remember any off the top of my head either. But so like that's a really awesome gun. I will say, and like I do want to be honest, like with this game's shortcomings, I feel like it is probably too hard for its own good. I mean, um, first off, it does this really annoying thing where you can't even play all the levels unless you're on the highest difficulty.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
it,
I don't know. I know a couple games, especially like older games that sort of lock the final level behind like, oh, you have to be on the hardest difficulty. I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
It's kind of
Anyway,
like it's kind of like Ghosts and Goblins, where like you need
right.
to beat the
Yeah.
game once.
Or like a lot of like old fighting games. I say a lot, but I could not name an example. But I'm already committed to this analogy. There are like fighting games out there, I guess I should say, that like lock the final boss behind like a difficulty wall. Like you have to do this on hard or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty annoying thing. The the first boss is kind of, I mean, it's cool in the sense of it is a giant zombie, like, and like that's the first boss of the game, so it only like goes up from there. But the game is really just sort of unclear about a couple things, um, like your directions on some things, and particularly in that boss fight, um, like because it's like it's like classic Doom where you sort of you don't keep your guns in between levels. You have to go and
Mm,
find them again and stuff like
yeah.
that. It can be pretty annoying to fight that first boss, especially once you're going for the uh, certain runes, these like equipable magic upgrades, where
Hmm.
you need to beat the boss in a specific amount of time. Um, that can be pretty annoying, but so it's got a few shortcomings, but I think definitely for the price it is on Steam, I think it's only $10 on Steam, and
Mm,
if you pick it up on sale, even cheaper. Painkiller is definitely a good time just for how wacky, how over serious it is, which makes it end up being
Right.
enjoyable and fun.
Yeah, I appreciate games like that.
Yeah, and I mean that's why you should play Painkiller.
I think you have me. I think I am sold on that. Um, I I do have a soft spot for games that like go for a certain type of edginess, but either go too far to the point where it's funny, or they don't go far enough to the point where it's funny.
Yeah,
Um, like Shadow the Hedgehog, for
I
example.
was just thinking Shadow the Hedgehog. Yeah, are you a
uh,
renegade or hero, Kevin? Is your birthright aliens?
I you know I think I might be a little bit black-hearted
What is it?
gray-hearted hero, black-hearted whatever.
Zero. That's not
Zero,
how the
yeah.
song goes.
I don't know how it goes either. If the if the instrumental was playing, I would like muscle memory would kick in and I would produce the sounds that are like the words to that
I,
song. But
is
like I
it
just
is it black-hearted evil, great-hearted
yeah,
hero?
I think it's black-hearted evil, gray-hearted hero, and then I am yeah. Anyway, um,
We won't
God, yeah,
subject you to our singing
yeah.
yet.
Yeah, no, not yet. That's on post, so you think you can sing content. Uh, but anyway, um,
America's Got Content.
America's you know, that's pretty accurate. um, you know, Shadow the Hedgehog reminded me of this conversation I had with my friend last night about like how like the ESRB ratings are like just this like really weird, complex, multi-level joke. Like they're a
Hmm.
joke at the end of the day, but there's like so many layers to it. So like I mean, if you don't know the story by now, I'll just say it in brief. But Shadow the Hedgehog was made in response to fans who really liked the gun segments in the adventure games and thought that Sonic should have a gun. So they're like, no, we'll make this darker character have a gun. So they made the edgy character have a gun. They were going for a T rating, and then ESRB was like, "Hey, we have this new one called E10," and Sega was like, yeah, good idea." And so they removed like a lot of like the quote unquote bad words and left in like the quote unquote mild ones. So like that's why Shadow says damn like twice and every time he dies. And anyway, but like I think Knuckles was like gonna say something pretty like not like profane, but just like something you wouldn't expect Knuckles of all
like
characters to
like a
say.
higher tier above damn.
Right, yeah, like I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but it was there was something. Um but like it had me thinking like if Shadow the Hedgehog has like actual gunplay, actual, you know, quote unquote swears in the game and it's only E10, why the hell is Super Smash Bros. Melee rated T for teen?
Yeah. You know what that is? I think it's because of Snake.
Well, it not even. Well, what about Melee? Melee is rated T for teen. That doesn't have Snake in it.
Oh, that's true.
Um, like, I mean, there are
Yeah,
swords. There are no guns in that game. There are
I
like the
am
laser ones.
convinced that like Persona 5 actually, I mean all the modern Persona games are rated M for mature because literally just because there's one Persona that is literally a penis monster riding a chariot.
Nice. uh,
Um,
I
because the first Persona game is I mean this was before the ESRB, so it's rated kids to adults, and that game has like machine guns and
right, right.
angels. There's a monster in that game called Incubus, which is a demon with like a very like phallic like appendage. And
I
that's kids to adults.
yeah. Well, think what really kills me every time, and I'm not joking to you. I have the box right here. You might have heard me open and close it while you were talking about Painkiller because I just wanted to make sure the disc was in there. But right here in my hand is Ice Age 2: The Meltdown for GameCube. Um, and while I did enjoy this game thoroughly as a kid and could never bring myself to get rid of it or sell it, I did just now notice that it is rated E10, meaning that the game where you play as the squirrel from from Ice Age: The Meltdown is somehow on on par with Shadow the Hedgehog.
Does the squirrel say "damn" in the
Nope,
game?
nope. He doesn't speak. He just makes little squirrel noises, and the gameplay consists of kind of actually like a collectathon. Like you just go around like picking up acorns. There is barely any combat. Uh, and the combat that is in the game consists of you like swatting an enemy with your tail. And that is somehow on the same level as an anthropomorphic hedgehog shooting people while saying "damn," like
Shooting the
actual
president
humans,
of the
by the way.
United States, saying "damn."
Oh yeah, that's true.
Um, so I,
Anyway,
I was
that's my
not
ESRB
expecting to
rant. I
talk about Ice Age 2: The Meltdown on
I'm
GameCube today.
I'm
But
sorry. Well,
that's
as
why
you
I
know,
love doing this show.
in addition to my weekly Sonic reference, I have to also bring up Ice Age 2: The Meltdown for Nintendo GameCube. No.
By
um,
the time we're doing the show, like, if we keep doing the show like 10 years in the future, whatever, it's just going to be Kevin with references the whole time.
basically, that's why we need to make sure we never jump the shark. If there's ever an episode where I like reference multiple things, like in succession, like if I ever say like Sonic and then Ice Age 2: The Meltdown and then Mario Tennis, like it's over. It's over.
That's the sign of the apocalypse.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Specifically Mario Tennis on the Game Boy Color.
right. Uh,
But
well, speaking of
next.
Game Boy
So,
games, not
oh yeah.
Game Boy Color games, but Game Boy Advance games,
Okay.
um, I've been playing the Mega Man Zero collection on Switch.
Okay.
Um, and I, I would say I'm a pretty decent Mega Man fan. I enjoy almost all the classic games. I enjoy almost all the X games
Hmm.
pretty thoroughly. I've beaten a good chunk of them, and I was always interested in the Mega Man Zero series, but like never enough to track down the Zero collection on DS, which is
Yeah.
actually a pretty rare game, and
Hmm.
also like ZX or ZX Advent, which are sort of
Yeah.
epilogues to Zero.
Hmm.
But I got the Zero collection on Nintendo Switch because I'm a Mega Man fan, and it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I've only finished Zero One in the collection, and I'm one Maverick in Zero Two.
Okay.
Um, but like I don't know how much of a Mega Man guy you are, or like an X guy specifically.
Okay, so I want to confess right now, I don't really like the X games, and not
Oh,
and not and not the and not the extreme sports thing. I mean the Mega Man ones. Uh, I I appreciate them. I think they're well made games with really good solid design. I mean, like, Aaron with his sequelitis video,
yeah.
like pretty thorough, pretty accurate, but I just personally don't like it. I something and like I don't know, just something about everything of being more detailed kind of turns me off from it, because
Hmm.
what like really gets me about the original Mega Man games, like the classic ones, I won't say original because I actually really like 9 and 10. Um, I is that everything feels snappy and reactionary, and I'm a sucker for that sort of like reaction based uh, platforming, especially like that's like Sonic for me, But like I feel like X doesn't really provide that. I feel like it's almost too flashy in some areas and like too distracting for my P brain. Um, or even like I don't know, just like small things turn me off about it. But I do appreciate the game's existence. I the most I played is like half of Mega Man X, and I couldn't bring myself to keep going.
Fair enough. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's definitely not for everyone. I will say if you're not an X guy, Mega Man Zero probably won't sell you on that style. I will say it is closer to I mean, in terms of level design, it feels closer to classic Mega Man than Mega Man X.
Hmm.
Um, but it's still a lot of X, particularly this game is essentially an action RPG.
Yeah. When I think of the Zero games, I've never played them. specifically because I don't really care for the X series. And so I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, I'll play this, and then like end up not liking it or whatever.
Hmm.
But in light of games like Katana Zero and The Messenger, like those like side scrolly like
Yeah.
you have a sword game, I think I could probably give the Zero games a shot, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
definitely. And like it's a weird Mega Man Zero, the first one at least, but I sense that this is going to be a thing throughout the greater series. It takes a little bit to like get where you are comfortably, but like once you like get everything you need, I mean, it is really really fun.
Mhm.
Like X4 is one of my favorite Mega Man X games, particularly playing as Zero, just because Zero moves so much quicker. It's a lot more, his style of gameplay is a lot more kinetic because he has the sword as opposed to X's Buster.
Right.
Um, and with the Mega Man Zero series, um, it leans more into that. Zero is the first game really like there's no maverick powers in Mega Man Zero. Instead, you get a couple of different weapons and a couple of different elements, and you sort of mix and match with those.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, it is really fun once you get the spear, and once you've like upgraded the Z Saber, which is the
Mhm.
sword, high enough. I mean, it can be really fast. The other thing is, I know you mentioned Katana Zero, and
Yeah.
Mega Man Zero is the first one is a really hard game. I mean,
Well,
this is
I love
Inti
Katana Zero,
Creates.
so I've actually I've actually, because I'm a masochist, I've played Katana Zero without slowing down time ever.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
uh, I almost screamed when fighting the Axeman or whatever. Um, or not the Axeman. The Axeman fight's actually pretty easy without time slow, all things considered. But the part where you fight, I think his name's V, where he like shoots you and then tries to charge you or whatever. Uh,
Hmm.
that fight, that's hard. That one's hard. Or the fight where you're fighting another like person who's on Chronos or whatever. That one's also hard. But
Yeah, I mean, Mega Man Zero is like that for the whole game, basically.
good,
I
good.
mean,
All
all the
right, I
boss
could play
fights
that.
anyway.
I could do that.
Um, it's got a pretty surprisingly good story. The one thing, the knocks I have against it are basically that the game is really bad about telling you how certain things work. Like, I didn't even get that you had to charge your weapons in order for the elements to work.
Oh, so
Um,
that that brings up a question. When you were describing it as like the mix and match kind of thing, I was thinking of Plague of Shadows, the Shovel Knight
yeah,
DLC.
yeah.
Is there anything like that where like you
I
like
wouldn't say it's as deep as that.
okay, but like it's comparable?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like there's like four weapons and three elements in Mega Man Zero
okay,
One. Um, the other way it is kind of like an action RPG is, and this ties into a complaint, is they introduced this concept called cyber elves, which are important to the plot, but also have gameplay where, like, in classic Mega Man, you have those two types of pickups. It's health and weapon energy. And in
yeah.
Mega Man Zero, it's health and energy crystals. And so you collect energy crystals so you can feed the various cyber elves you can collect, and they're basically this game's, to use like the X parallels, like heart containers or,
Mhm.
increase to your defense. The problem I have with this, and this is more of a 0-2 problem than a 0-1 problem, is that this game has a ranking system and it
Okay.
punishes you for using cyber elves. Um,
Uh,
so like if you want upgrades and stuff like that, the game is gonna say it's gonna give you an F grade at the end of levels, basically.
that's kind of like the Sonic Adventure 2, like use the monitors on the Knuckles
Definitely.
stages, and then like you get punished for it.
I
Yeah.
would say it's more egregious than that though, just because it's like gameplay upgrades as opposed to like
Just
hints.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
in
another thing
Zero,
is,
no, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna say another thing is that like the monitors you could still get A ranks like with.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just it's a point reduction, but if you still like get it within a time limit.
In Zero Two, um, they they tie certain upgrades to you beating Mavericks with A or S ranks. So like the game introduces these things called EX skills, and the only way to get EX skills is if you beat Mavericks with a certain rank at the end of the level. And you may not have that because you chose to
Play the
upgrade
game.
yourself.
Yeah, that's man.
um,
That's almost like the Deus Ex. Like man, like are you lesser because you upgrade yourself?
yeah.
uh,
I mean, it can be a bit annoying, but Mega Man Zero is definitely worth looking into. I mean, I know you're not an X guy, but
yeah,
maybe just try and give it a shot. I don't know.
yeah, I could definitely see myself trying the Zero games, especially now that like because it definitely was like an initial like, oh, Mega Man X exists, oh, Mega Man Zero exists, which is just sort of like more X, I guess. Like I don't know, I didn't know at the time. And so
It's
I just
also like very confusing plot wise because like X5 was supposed to be the end of the X series
right.
and it was supposed to lead into Zero, which if you just stop at X5, it makes sense, but obviously there is three more X games after X5.
Right,
So,
yeah. I actually have under my bed uh a replica of the Proto Buster.
oh, nice.
That like lights up and stuff. Because I'm a dork. So
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
yeah, thank you. That's it. It's over. Go home. Uh, but yeah, sometime I'll have to show you or something. I don't have it out right now. I'd have to dig it up, but it's pretty awesome. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. When you turn it off, it makes the death sound. Like the
Oh,
do do
nice.
do. When you turn it on, there's a Mega Man version too. When you turn it on, it makes like the stage entrance sound effect where it's like whoop, like you know.
Whoop.
But if you have the Proto Man one, turning it on activates the whistle.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. But
So you've been playing any other games besides Deus Ex?
yeah, I've been playing a lot of NieR Automata
Oh yeah, baby.
because a friend of mine actually bought the game for me a long time ago, and he loves that game, and I played a little bit of it. Um, Something came up with my computer. Like I think I like changed I changed the part of my computer, and I had to like delete some things to make room for some other stuff, and basically all this like hardware stuff came up, and I had to temporarily delete um, Near Autonoma, and it was one of those games where like I don't really like hack and slashes to begin with, but so like I don't know, I just couldn't bring myself to go back to it basically,
hmm
and I would always make jokes about the hour or two that I played, like I'd make references that
Right.
made sense with the hour or two that I've played to my friend, and eventually he like convinced me that I should give it another shot. And so I've been playing it again, and now I'm stuck on a boss that I really hate, and now I'm probably never going to play the game again. Uh,
Which boss is it?
so, do you remember the part where you have to fight like this giant like thing in the ocean?
Oh yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, he was easy. I beat him. Um, then there's like the segment where you go with Pascal into the factory,
hmm
um, and like there's like this like religious cult of robots,
Right.
um, and there supposedly you go in to peacefully negotiate with them, but they end up trying to kill you. Um, there's this boss fight with like this like knockoff Omnidroid from The Incredibles. That boss fight was easy. I beat that boss. But then you get a distress signal from the village, like the resistance village, and you have to
Right.
zoom back there. And then when you leave, after like fighting a bunch of robots in the resistance village, when you leave, the Omnidroid comes back and he's impossible. I can't beat him. I can't beat him again. I so I don't know how well you remember this specific part of the game, but let me frame it this way. You cannot go anywhere besides the mission objective. Like the game does not let you go anywhere, it does not let you transport. You're not allowed to leave like a certain area. And because this mission objective is like uh I don't know, like marked essential by the game, like you're restricted to this area, the only NPC around um is you can't talk to her because the game wants you to go to the specific spot. Like the little X appears over the dialogue option. You're not allowed to talk to
Right.
her. If I had known that there was going to be a boss fight that locks me in that spot, I would have talked to her before I initiated the boss fight, because when I did, like just like I had accidentally walked by her and hit the button to talk, she was acting as a shop for some reason. She usually is not the shop. There's like usually another shopkeeper or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's weird. Why does it like offering me items? Whatever. I don't really want to spend anything right now. I'm good. I had some items. I didn't really know I needed any. I walked outside of the village. This thing is like standing in like a pond, electrifying all the water. The game won't let me go anywhere else. I can't go back into the village and talk to her. After you die once, you lose all your items and you can't get them back. So I have to fight this thing with no healing items or like the salves that like make you take reduced damage from electricity attacks. I found out that there's this thing you can do where you can target the robot's legs and it stuns him if you break one. But even if you chain all of the legs, which is already hard in itself because the camera is forcing you to look at its body, and if you try and lock onto the enemy, it will lock onto its main body, which takes less damage. Um, Even if you fight the camera and attack all the legs and chain them perfectly so that you have him stunned for the maximum amount of time, he will initiate like his final phase of the boss fight where he turns into a ball and he just tries to roll over you and
Right.
like bounce on you and summons all these other monsters around. For some reason, this is the only part of the game where I listen, I thought I had like the little upgrade or chip or whatever that gives you health for killing enemies, like health back or whatever.
Right. Right.
For some reason, it's not working on the endless swarm. So the only like theoretical indefinite supply of health is not coming back to me.
Oh my god.
And I have to beat this boss like with one health bar, and that's all there is to it. That's the undeniable truth of this boss fight, and I can't do anything in the game until I accomplish this.
That's
And
pretty brutal.
it's really tough. I am not at the current moment strong enough mentally or physically to accomplish this. So
I personally, so like, I love Automata.
I listen. I love the game so far too. This specific part though is not for me.
Yeah,
Like
I
as far as hack and slashes are concerned, definitely one of the good ones in my opinion. Just not right now.
right. I fortunately ended up on my first playthrough. Ended up getting like, I think it's the chip is auto heal, and it's like auto heal and like the kill heal, where not only does the game heal you with like by killing enemies, but also it heals you whenever you like do damage to enemies, like even if you don't kill them.
Yeah.
And I think I only died 2 or 3 times after that. Um, I'm trying to remember because like I vaguely remember like the electrified water from that part.
Yeah, no, this is definitely not a boss fight that you're supposed to get stuck on. I just got like screwed.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Automata can definitely be one of those games where, because like on my first go around with it, I definitely was struggling a bit in some of the boss fights.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, it really equipment is a big deciding factor in
Yeah.
Automata. Um, but you know, I'm Kev. I'm so sad that Automata is has not given you a good time so far, because I love Automata's story so much. I
No,
mean,
I'm definitely intrigued. Like I'm very interested. I love the world. I love the characters so far. Like this is the most fun I've had with a hack and slash. Like just like period. That's a sentence. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That like I just don't typically like hack and slashes. This one, I do have some issues with it, but like all of my issues regarding it are just because of the genre of game that it is, and I can't like bring myself to hold that against the game. Like
Yeah.
it's just not fair of me because, but like I'm stuck. That's it.
I'm done.
That's
This is the end. I'm
that's all
done.
I can say. Yeah, I'm just NieR Automata doesn't want me to like someone sent word to NieR Automata that like I didn't like hack and slashes, and like NieR Automata is like trying to beat me up because of it. So, but I'm really trying to give.
You will love Bayonetta, Kevin.
I mean,
um,
yeah, that's a Sega game, so I got to give it a shot. Like,
that's true. They're rings in
hey,
Bayonetta, basically.
hey, well, isn't is my friend actually likes the Bayonetta games, and he was telling me about the one character whose like superpower is perfect timing, and that's it. Like he just always times everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Um, and like my friend he was like, I'm pretty sure this character's just you. I think he's like a journalist with like a grappling hook, and all he can do is like time things properly. Uh, I
Luca,
don't know.
yeah.
So that's my incentive to eventually play the Bayonetta games. But
I mean, I would say that's a good incentive.
yeah. Oh,
Anyway,
my
I do have one anecdote about Automata.
yeah. Go ahead.
Is that I had an English teacher who I was pretty friendly with, and he was telling me like he played, he plays a lot of video games, and he was telling me like, yeah, like I tried to play NieR Automata, and like, man, like I just couldn't get into it. Like the controls were terrible, and I was like, well, what are you talking about? I mean, I think the controls are fine. And he told me he was playing the game using a keyboard,
Yeah.
and I was like, probably not the ideal way to play the game,
I
sir.
That's actually how I've been playing most of the game. I do have a controller, and like so I sometimes I just forget. Like I'm not gonna. I just like start the game up and I play with the keyboard. I don't think it's that bad. I'm sure it is better with the controller. I don't know.
I played it on the PS4, and like, I just have a soft spot for the PS4 controller. I think it's just so comfy
PS4
to
controls
me.
pretty solid. Yeah.
But I mean, just imagining like how dexterous your hands have to be for Automata. Like playing on keyboard just seems like a nightmare to me personally.
Yeah.
Just
I
because
mean, I do have a massive brain. No.
I do watch Rick and Morty. My
I do.
IQ is.
I yeah. Have you ever seen My Hero Academia? I no. that's that's the next next Rick and Morty, I think. But anyway, I do want to leave everyone with a small preview of what I'm going to talk about next time, because I um I am committed to between now and next week playing one of the games that I mentioned last episode, one of those Game Boy Advance games, and I will give you a hint. Um, I rewatched the movie that the game is based on just so I could get a better experience.
Jet Set Radio, the movie.
Yes. Why'd you spoil it? No, it rhymes with Pilo and Rich. Um, so yeah, we'll have to we'll have to see how that one goes. I
Nice.
genuinely I know one of the Lilo and Stitch Game Boy games is supposed to be really good. I don't know if that's the one that I have.
Oh, we're gonna roll the dice.
Yeah.
All right. And with that said, if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me at Thomas M. Brickman to see all the silly stuff I post. Also follow the show at PostGameCon on Twitter. That's at PostGameCon.
And then my stupid dumb idiot Twitter is at Hey It's Kevo. I don't know what I post on there, but I'm sure there's content that comes after games.
Post-game content.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Is that why we call it that?
maybe, I don't know. That sounds good.
Yeah, maybe.
And finally, if you want to listen to the other podcasts I do with my good friend Emily, where we're breaking down every episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you can find it on YouTube at I Want to Fight Araki. I want to fight AR1 on Twitter. Just
Uh,
find it anywhere. Give us a listen. We'd really appreciate it.
if
Um,
if you want to watch the other podcast that I do, I don't have one, so go home.
stop plugging your other stuff, Thomas. God.
No, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
And with all that said, we will see you guys next time.
peace out.